Good morning, folks. This is Jonathan Lewis, the National Director for Nonviolence Training and Education for the Gathering for Justice. I'm here with you, coming from Providence, Rhode Island, downtown Providence, at one of my favorite spots. It's a water fountain that flows pretty much always when the weather is nice out here. It does draw a lot of attention during the day, but tonight, or this morning, if you will, it's me, myself, and the birds. I want to tell you about some of the work that we've been doing from the beginning of this year. I would like to begin with January 2010, the month that Dr. King was born. And Dr. King has a heavy influence on the work of the Gathering for Justice, being that he was and still is in the heart of Harry Belafonte, one of his most trusted compadres when he was on this earth, and the leader of our organization and potential movement to rejuvenate the spirit of nonviolence. Month of January, we conducted 3 nonviolence trainings, the national staff, as well as we had 2 speaking engagements. Our 3 nonviolence trainings covered the country, if you will. One taking place in Santa Cruz, California, another one taking place in Chicago, Illinois, and the third taking place in Brookly, New York. Out in Chicago, which was our first one, we conducted a training that was comprised of 80 to 90 youth, or roughly 85 youth, and the youth all came from 3 different schools, 3 different places. One, North Lawndale College Prep, a high school that we've done work with and is a model that we can all learn from as far as institutionalizing Kenyan nonviolence and creating a culture of peace. Not just words, but actions that support it. Justin Richardson, Dr. Lafayette, Tiffany Childress, Jimmy Prude, and Vanessa Jones and myself all conducted this training, trying to introduce the Chicago youth to the philosophy. Chicago has gotten a lot of our focus, given they do have the highest rate of murders for our youth in this country. Violence is so prevalent out there. There are more dying in Chicago than there are dying in the Iraqi and Afghanistan war. Our next training took place with one of our favorite organizations, if you will, Peace Development Fund. Kazu Haga has been instrumental in the success for the gathering and is a staff member there who overlooks grants and providing funds to local organizations doing the good work. Now, we did this training with Peace Development Fund, their entire staff and board. It was a little different because we were actually doing the training for donors, board members, and elders that have been involved in this movement for longer than I've been alive. But Kazu has seen the power of Kenyan nonviolence and wanted to try to find a way to institutionalize it within the policies and procedures of the funding world. It has come to many of our attention that the process for applying for grants it has maybe created a cutthroat climate or environment for activists when working together. And they're trying to find a way to make the process more broad, loving, and supportive of those who are doing the work, and not forcing people to fit into some type of a box, but to see what best fits that organization so that they can go out and do the work that needs to be done. Dr. Lafayette, myself, and Kazu Haga conducted this training. Carmen Perez, the new executive director for the Gathering for Justice, joined us at the training, and it was held at Barrios Unidos. Many of us know Barrios Unidos, and Nane, we love you. Thank you for allowing us to use your space. It was an honor to add to the peace work that has been done out there in Santa Cruz. If you don't know Barrios Unidos, you need to look them up. They're one of the most dynamic organizations working with people most directly affected with gang violence and the disenfranchisement of minorities, Latinos specifically. And the third training that we conducted was organized by KJ, Kung Ji Ri, our organizer out in Brooklyn, New York, at Medgar Evers College. Medgar Evers College has the desire, well, IDRA, the program that KJ works with, has the desire of institutionalizing Kenyan nonviolence and offering it to those that work in the juvenile justice system, for professionals as well as for those that are taking a time out, if you will, who are inside the system, trying to find a way that the time that is spent within the facility is productive. It's not, and I guess, not that I guess, but that it will change from being a place where youth are warehoused to a place where they are rebuilt or re-inspired to do what is right. Whenever I think of the work of Kangji Ri, PMP, and IDRA out there in Brooklyn, and most of our organizations throughout the country, I think of a quote by Frederick Douglass. That quote being that it is easier to raise a strong child than to fix a broken man. Our policies and procedures throughout the country focus more on fixing broken men than it does in raising strong children. Proof of that is in the budgets between our military and our prison industrial complex and that of our educational system. It is unfortunate that we have allowed this stuff to grow, and we blame the youth for the way that they respond. But they are only dealing with the failures of those that have come before them. We have to find a way to fix that. So the gathering had a bunch of trainings in the month of January, as well as some speaking engagements, one being out supporting the work of the Center for Nonviolence, or the Connecticut Center for Nonviolence and Peace Studies, out in Hartford, Connecticut, led by Victoria Kriskow. Big shout out to Victoria and the work that they're doing. I was asked to come out and speak to a group of youth who are in a choir, Latino youth, all ranging from the ages of probably 8 or 9 to around 16. And the focus was on the 6 principles of Kenyan nonviolence and a speech that Dr. King gave to a middle school group called What's Your Life's Blueprint? Talking about trying to plan out where you want to go. Because if you have no goal or no focus or no direction, you will end up someplace, but it may not be where you hoped or wanted to ever be. So we talked about doing what was right and how nonviolence was synonymous with intelligence and love for your mother and family. The kids were a little confused when I said that, but I said by acting nonviolently and doing what is right and intelligent, you are honoring your mother. By putting peace out into the world, you're creating a safer environment for your mother, for your sisters, for your brothers to grow up in. Because when we act violently, others are hurt. People feel pain, and the problems are only multiplied. And unfortunately, most of us are not good at dealing with our pain, and we put it on someone else. So by not even knowing it, we could hurt someone today, and that very same person could turn around and hurt one of our family members. We have to be smarter. We have to be more loving. The second place where I went and spoke in the month of January was at Providence College out here in Rhode Island. I was the keynote speaker for AmeriCorps, or Serve Rhode Island, which is is what they call it out here. And my focus with them, my discussion with them, was around being better and not smarter. It was based on one of Dr. King's speeches that he gave again and again called Rediscovering Lost Values. In there he talks about how we have made so many technological advances that we have been able to put a computer in everyone's pocket, and we call it a cell phone. How we've been able to travel not just throughout this planet, but to others. Our technological advances have superseded our moral advances, if you will. And Dr. King, in that speech, poses a question. And he says that, is it that are we living in violence because we are not smart enough, or because we are not good enough? And I really think that it is not that we have the brains, but do we have the heart to love those that need help, to love those that are feeling the frustrations of our failures. We have to find a way to be better to our brothers and sisters. We have to find a way to love one another. I sit here talking to you about love, not as one that has mastered the technique, but a student who's trying to become better at it and trying to encourage others to become better at it. So please continue to support the Gathering for Justice as you have been doing, and love one another and make this place a more peaceful environment for futures, generations, and our presence of today known as our youth. Thank you, and I'll talk to y'all again soon. All right, peace.